One of the questions I get as a seniors real estate specialist is, what's the deal with capital gains? What do I need to do regarding capital gains when I sell my house? Do I need to buy another house? How does capital gains work? Actually, it's pretty simple. There is a special way that the proceeds from the sale of your home are handled differently when it comes to capital gains. First, though, we have to establish that this is your primary residence. It has to have been your primary residence for at least 2 of the past 5 years. So if you decide to keep your house after you move, for instance, into a senior living community, that's fine. Maybe you want to keep it to give your kids a place to come and stay when they come for a visit. But if you want to take advantage of the exemptions that come with a primary residence, then you need to make that sale within that 5-year period. And again, you have to have lived in it 2 of the past 5 years. Next then comes calculating the proceeds from the sale. I am not a tax attorney. I am not a CPA. Be sure to consult with your tax professional for the rest of this. But here's my understanding of how the capital gains works. First, you take the proceeds from the sale of your house. Subtract out the amount that you originally paid for the house. Then subtract out the cost of any improvements you made to the home. For instance, if you redid the bathroom and the kitchen, if you put on a new roof, if you replaced the HVAC system, if you finished the basement, any of those investments towards the home, subtract those out as well. On a side note, when we're talking about improvements, keep the receipts for those improvements that you've made. You'll have them when it comes to giving them to your tax professional for the purposes of dealing with capital gains. However, there's some other benefits to keeping those that have to do with selling your house, and we'll talk about that in a different video. And finally, subtract out your selling expenses, commissions paid to your real estate professional, legal fees, title fees, subtract those out. So to summarize all that, you take the new sales price that you just sold the house for, subtract out the original price you paid, subtract out the cost of any improvements you paid, and subtract out the selling cost. And that will give you the net proceeds from the sale. What happens next depends on if you're married or single. Let's start with if you're single. If you're single, then the amount of proceeds from the sale that is exempt from capital gains is $250,000. So for instance, if you do the calculations and the proceeds from the sale is $200,000, then you pay no capital gains on that $200,000 because it's less than $250,000. If you sell the property and you do the calculations and you get $300,000 from the proceeds of the sale, then you only pay capital gains on $50,000, the amount above that $250,000. If you're married, you do not pay capital gains on any proceeds $500,000 or less. So if you sell your property and you're married and you make $400,000 on the proceeds of the sale, the net proceeds, then you pay no capital gains on that amount. If you make $600,000 after the sale of your home, then you only pay capital gains on the $100,000, the amount above that $500,000 threshold. Now let's talk about if you are a widow or widower. First, I'm so sorry for your loss. Next, I may have some more bad news. If you sell the home within 2 years of your spouse's death, then you do benefit from the $500,000 exemption from capital gains. But if it's more than 2 years since your spouse's death, then you are considered single for capital gains purposes. So you can only take the exemption up to $250,000 instead of $500,000, even though you were married when you bought the home. So that's it. It's pretty straightforward, the amount of capital gains that you are taxed on, whether you're married or single. And again, you have to have lived in the home for at least 2 of the previous 5 years. If you need help with your real estate needs, or you just have some questions about real estate, feel free to reach out to me. You can call me or text me at 770-597-1108. I'm Kelly Vandever with Keller Williams North Atlanta. Again, that number, 770-597-1108.